happen. So what he's saying is these mitzvahs of kashrus, it's not necessarily non-kosher food is gross. Non-kosher food could be delicious. I've actually heard from people say this. I've heard rabbis say like, "Oh, it looks so gross," and I'm like, "Rebbe, there's a Rashi that says it's not because it's gross. It could be delicious. It might be downright delicious, but it's because Hashem's made a gezerah. His will is for us not to partake. And again, this goes with the self-control idea that we control ourselves and we don't. And Hashem's given us a spiritual menu, so to say, much like the Chinese menu that will be available this Thursday at Safeway, advertising that here right now. It's supposed to be good. That's what I'm told.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Yeah. Yes, there will be a Chinese menu this Thursday.
Will it be organic?
Yeah, movies to go.
Absolutely not.
Okay. And this spiritual menu has a purpose. We're going to talk about what this self-control, what this discipline is supposed to lead us to. That's part C. Where am I holding on time? Okay, 8:07. Fine. So I'm going to try to keep it to, my longest is going to be an hour and a half, so that's the longest. This is the Kolo without a clock, for a reason.
Do you want my bar or what?
No, I've got...
We're on heavenly time.
Yeah, fine. So, okay, Kashrus connects a Jew to Hashem. So I'm going to read to you first. This is a pasuk in Shmos about a holy people needing holy food. Va'anshe kodesh tiyun li, you should be a holy people to me. A basar basada treifa, meat that you find ripped apart in the sada, in the field, right? An animal that hasn't been shechted, lo sochelu, shouldn't eat. L'kelev tashlichu noso, throw it to the dog. This is also a little bit of compassion. Should throw it to the dog, give it something to eat. It doesn't have to be wasted. Dosh, which we throw around a lot in davening and we say a lot and always translate as holy, literally translates to separate, something elevated to a new status based on its separateness.
Or the opposite.
It could be Kadesha, also refers to a harlot. It could be the opposite.
Connected.
Right, but it can also refer to something that's separated. The reason the word Kadesha is a harlot is because she's separated for a specific purpose. Not such a great one. But again, it's because there's that certain separateness. And to be able to reach this lofty level of Am Kadosh that the Jewish people are supposed to live up to, we need to do many actions and refrain from many others. And the laws of Kashrus fall into this list of what's prescribed by the spiritual guidebook as something that we need to do, ways that we need to be conducting ourselves. It's essential for our spiritual makeup, and it's needed to help maintain our relationship with Hashem. I'm going to skip the next source. I'm going to go to number 3 here. That's the Harikanti in Vayikra, so I'm skipping to source 3. And he says, Atam leser abehemas atameos, the reason to forbid the non-kosher animals, lefia pshat, on a simple level, kihem molidim ifush rav choli benefoshos. It causes a decay and an to the soul. There's a spiritual makeup we have. Hashem said, these animals, if you take them into your body, that's going to have negative spiritual ramifications. And ma'akvin shlemas adam, it will block you from being able to reach your true potential in your service of Hashem. Milidavik v'Hashem yisparach, from being able to cling to Hashem. So Hashem is the only being, as we know, that can declare something as spiritually impure or pure. And he's declared that non-kosher animals, non-kosher birds, non-kosher mammals are impure, and that eating them would have reverberations on a person's connection to holiness, creating a blockage, a timtum halev. That's a phrase I want to focus on for a second. What many classical sources say is that when you eat non-kosher food, it causes a timtum halev. That literally means heart blockage, but we're not talking about cholesterol or having any, arteries clogged. It's talking about heart, meaning our connection to Hashem, our ability to have feelings for mitzvos are going to be cut off and blocked by bringing these things into our body. I want to do a little bit of a skip to part D. Right now we're in part C. Skip to part D, section 3. We're going to come back, but for now skip to part D, section 3. This is something taken out of the Gemara in Yuma on Lamed Tes Amud Aleph, about kosher food causing this spiritual blockage. Tana debei Rabbi Yishmael, the house of Rabbi Yishmael taught, Aveira mitamtemes libo shel adam. An Aveira, a sin, blocks up a person's heart. Shenamar, as it says in a pasuk in Vayikra, V'lo sitamu bohem, you shouldn't become impure through them. V'nit mesim bam, which will cause you to become impure. A little bit repetitive, but the drasha that Chazal says is not repetitive, it's a different word. Al tikri v'nit mesim. Don't read that you'll become impure through them. El v'nit tamtem. You'll become blacked up. You'll become spiritually inept. There's certain things that the Torah describes as being able to get rid of a certain spiritual blockage. Many sources say that's what bris milah is all about. There's a certain connection to Hashem that a person can't have when he's an Orel, when he still has a foreskin. There's other mitzvos that we have where there's said to be on a spiritual level a blockage that would occur. Might not even be something that we can feel physically, but we're being told that when I imbibe this thing into my body, I'm not going to be able to reach the spiritual heights and to connect to Hashem. Let's go back to the Sforno, which is part C, source 4. I'm really going to read the last line here. V'ata biyoscha kadosh, and you, Klal Yisrael, Jewish people, in that you are holy. Ein roy lecha lios nizon me'aser. It's not fitting for you to eat something that's forbidden. Right? The Jewish people, again, this is about our certain holiness, our kadosh, our separateness that we need to be able to achieve this level of Am Kadosh, of holy people. Seeing as that's one of our goals, these things are deemed non-holy. We can't connect to them and still connect to Hashem. We're going to go to part D, spiritual health. It's a bit of a similar concept that eating kosher is for the benefit of the neshama rather than the guf. The guf can be sustained by non-kosher. We can eat non-kosher and be sustained physically, but the neshama is different. I'm going to start here with this Kli Yakar. Again, I'm not going to read all of it. Melamed is about Kashrus ensuring the well-being of the soul. Melamed she'ein inyan ha'ma'achalas asurus l'brios haguf. He's on one side of a big machlokas, by the way. There are going to be those that hold that Kashrus is about physical health and is about, it doesn't necessarily have to do with spirituality, although that might be an added benefit, but to get into a gigantic machlokas, an argument between the Rambam and the Abarbanel, who had very strong words against the Rambam. The Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, a guide for the perplexed, holds very strongly that all of the laws of Kashrus have actual physical health ramifications.
Really?
The Kli Yakar does not agree with that, and the Kli Yakar said, and the majority don't agree with that. The majority say that if there are health benefits that come with it, great, but that's not the point. So the Rambam, right? So the Rambam wanted to say that there's actually health benefits that are actually the reason for these mitzvos.
He was a doctor, though. So.
He was, and he's one of the people that put out, besides medical books, he has Hilchos Deos and his Halachos and Mishnah Torah. He has a whole section just about practical things for health and good living. That's one of the things he's very interested in. He tells you how many times to chew your food. It's 17? I think it's 17 chews, I think is what he says. It might be 18. It's something. Rambam. It's the Rambam in Hilchos Deos. So Tucker is on the other side of this machlokas. The line that I just read means that the reason for forbidden foods is certainly not for the health of the body, Kibbur Ramban, like the Ramban says. So the Ramban in places also agrees with the Rambam, but he doesn't say it as strong as the Rambam. Shahaya umas ha'ochlim avriyim. There are plenty of non-Jewish people that eat non-kosher food, and they're fine and healthy and dandy, and they're not dying. Ela kavanasam l'refuas neshama. The point of these foods is for the refuah, the healing haneshama of the neshama. Ki margishim ruach tara v'kedusha, because the neshama can feel and can pull out of the food that you imbibe into yourself a ruach tara, a spirit of purity, ukdusha, and holiness. Umolidim atimos haseichel achzarius. Oh no, sorry. Magarshim ruach tara v'kedusha. Sorry, opposite. The non-kosher foods push away a ruach tara and kedusha, a spirit of purity and kedusha. The other thing is true, but it's not what he's saying. The other thing is that the neshama can feel and is margish. It feels the kedusha of the food, and it has ramifications from what it eats. That's not what he's saying, though. Umolidim atimus haseichel v'achzarius. And eating such things would build in a person a blockage of seichel, of their intelligence, v'achzarius, and cruelty. I'm going to skip this next one. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to part D, section 5, Haramban and Dvarim. That goes well with what we just read. It's on this is again in Parshas Re'eh, my Bar Mitzvah Parsha. Lo sochal kol toeva. You shouldn't eat any abominable. This is the Ramban says. He wrote the lahosif be'er b'ma'achal ma'asurim.
So you shouldn't eat abominable things. Snowman. Abominable.
Oh, snowman. Yes.
Oh, snowman.
It's the season. Hinei ratza lahosif be'er b'ma'achal ma'asurim. Right. The Torah wanted to add an explanation.
It's never good to have to explain your children.
I know.
Forbidden foods.
It's not a good sign.
Lakach amar lo sochal kol toeva lahagiki kol asarim nisavim lenefesh tahara. So the Torah uses a word, toeva, abomination. There are a few times that the Torah uses the word abomination. It is usually a very strong word. It's
usually sexual, isn't it?
Oftentimes it is sexual. Correct. He's saying here, we're calling non-kosher food a toeva. Why? Because non-kosher food, ki kol hanesarim, all these things that are forbidden, nisovim lanefesh atahora, are forbidden. They're abominable. They're disgusting to a pure soul. Not necessarily disgusting to the body. They might taste great, but definitely abhorrent to the neshama. And at this point, he's going in that direction. It can be argued that he's not, but we'll look at it. The Ode, furthermore, this is Ramban and Toras Hashem Tamima. The Ode, HaTorah Me'ira Einayim Besod HaTolda. The Torah enlightens their eyes as far as cause and effect. She'asra lanu mixas behemos v'chayos. The Torah forbade to us certain animals, both domestic and wild. We mix us ophos, we mix us dagim, some birds, some fish. The gamze holech b'shar darchei Torah. This is also going in the other ways of the Torah, the ways of everything else in the Torah. Shekol dvarim tovim laguf. All the things that are good for the body. He says body. Kanohog sheba'olam, as is normal in the world, v'tovim lanefesh, and are also good for the soul, mitzad hayitzira, mitzad hamitzvos, from the way that it's created and from the side of the mitzvos that we have to deal with such things or eat such things. Ki advarim ha'ela yadua she'ena ma'achalim tovim l'refuah l'rabio, the things that are not good for refuah, for having coming back to health, ulabrios, refuah is a recovery, that's the English word, ulabrios, and for health. Aside from this, they have a detrimental effect to the soul. Mitzad hatoldos, based on the effect that they have. This is what it means when it says v'nitmesim, really v'nitamtem, you become blacked up. So he certainly sounds like he's going with this idea of physical health. That aside from the spiritual aspects, there is the fact that the Torah is prescribing for us something that's healthy for us to eat. Now the Rambam. He said, yes. Mm-hmm.
So often nowadays there are so many chemicals in our food
Mm-hmm.
that are kosher,
Yeah.
and they're not good for us.
No, they're certainly not. So that's kind of, I'll throw out there that the majority opinion is that it's not about health. When you look at, and you have a great question. I don't know how the Rambam or the Ramban would answer it, because, I mean, if we came to them and said, well, look here, I know this can cause cancer and this can do this, I don't know what their answer would be. Maybe they would say, but you don't know about this. And you're like, oh, it really is good. I don't know. Maybe they had some knowledge that we don't, but it is the majority opinion that it's not about physical health. I have the same question, and I struggle with what they would answer. I don't really know what they would be able to answer unless they could say, I know something you don't know and I got something to tell you. Like, aside from that.
Put it in the same category, like fight for that to the same thing.
Sure.
And it could be one answer to throw out, is that he's speaking more about the basic laws of Kashrus in what's laid out in the Torah, i.e. kosher birds, kosher mammals, kosher fish, non-kosher fats, gid hanasha, things like that, that the things that are actually prescribed in the Torah itself are healthy things. It happens to be, we've messed around with nature a lot, and we could make things that technically are kosher, but are not the things that the Torah was specifically referring to. We don't have a reason to forbid them. They're all kosher ingredients. It could be that it's talking more about the things that the Torah actually described. But you have a good question.
Yeah, these are basically out of a test tube.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know exactly how they would. Yes, I don't know exactly how they would answer. It's a great question. Yes, Sheldon.
What about what Mitchell brought up before about barracudas, piranhas, those kind of fish?
Mhm.
What's the difference in terms of land animals, birds versus fishes?
Well, fish really have two. Fish. The difference is by birds and mammals, you're really looking at one idea, that of being carnivorous, whereas with fish, you're kind of looking at two, because you have ones that are carnivorous, and then you also have an idea called shrutzim, shkatzim, and ramosim, which are nasty creatures that are just filthy. When it comes to those things that are bottom feeders, things that are pretty gross animals, there's another mitzvah that comes into play called bal tishaksu. Don't be disgusting. Don't do things that are disgusting. So it happens to be that many say the forbidden fish really have two groups: those that are predators and those that are forbidden from bal tishaksu es nafsho seichem. Don't make yourselves disgusting.
Whether they have scales and fins or
No, it would be ones that we're talking about all ones that don't have fins and scales. So
what about, aren't there certain fish that do have fins and scales that are
bottom feeders?
are considered predators?
Not quite on the same level, but it could be argued, but not.
By the same token, what you were saying before, you shouldn't eat certain fish like, I'm not real familiar, but piranhas and barracudas have scales and fins.
Oh, yeah.
You shouldn't eat them.
Barracudas, I'd have to look again.
I've caught barracuda, definitely.
Right,
have
but
scales.
no, they have scales. If I remember correctly, they're not because of the type of scales they have. But I'd have to look it up again.
But they have those.
Barracuda are kosher.
They are? Yeah.
They have those signs of being
Have
kosher,
to-
but they fall into the category you just talked about. Don't eat something.
It's a good question. I know by fish there's a lot more discussion floating around aside from what's normally floating around by ophos and behemos, as we saw in the
We're swimming
pun
in
intended.
water,
Yeah.
so.
As I saw in the as we saw in the Ramban, he specifically picked ophos, birds, and behemos, and that's an idea that he could pin on those. When it comes to fish, I've seen a lot more literature of people trying to figure out exactly what it is. And, when almost one of the times that you feel that Kashrus is a chok, a non-understandable the most, is when you try to figure out and pin down why is this fish more disgusting than the other, why is it more forbidden. So some of the ideas that people throw around are the carnivorous idea and the bal tishaksu es nafsho seichem idea.
Or why is a carp permitted but a catfish isn't?
Right, so I would venture to say, maybe I'm wrong, that a carp won't quite eat the same thing that a catfish will, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, in the end of the day, though, catfish don't have scales.
Right.
They have fins, as opposed to carp have fins and scales.
Right, but you're asking on a philosophical level, why is there a difference? So I don't have a great answer for it. I've seen much more about ophos and behemos than I have fish. But one thing that I have seen is they throw around the idea of bal tishaksu, of it not being disgusting, which is apparently connected to this. And there are some carnivorous fish that also fall into it, like sharks. Yeah. You've caught a barracuda.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool. How big was he? Like 6 feet?
They can be 6 feet. Although in the Pacific,
That's pretty big. Okay. Here's this Rambam, this source for it being all about health. So Rambam says as follows: Omer efo shekol ma'achalim she'asr aleinu Torah, all the foods that the Torah forbids us, hey mazon meguna, they are disgusting, obscene foods. They're not good for you. Ki achazir, example, the pig, lach yoser, it's a very moist food, yoser mimasharoi, more than what's needed for our bodies. Va'pesoles shalom meruba, and the garbage inside a pig is there's a bunch of garbage in there. There's a bunch of not needed, nasty stuff in there. The Torah moesesbo beikar beglal lichlucho. The Torah is disgusted by it mainly because of its filthy nature. Lichlucha arav, the abundance of its filth. The yoso nizon meluchlachim, and since it gets its food from eating slop, so it's not something you would want. Yodea ata kama monasa Torah. You have to know how far the Torah goes to push away re'iyas zuhama, any type of disgustingness, any type of slime and grime. Afilu b'bika, even in the valley, b'machana, in the camp, kol sheken b'toch ha'arim, all the more so inside the cities. So he continues that way through the entire chapter, listing different animals and laws of kashrus and explaining why they're all of physical benefit for a human being.